Okay, call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. First on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next is the approval of minutes.
Make a motion we approve the minutes.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Fath, seconded by Mr. Brzezinski to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mr. Fath?
Yes.
Mr. Brzezinski?
Yes.
Albert votes yes. Passes 4-0. Next, the approval of claims.
Make a motion we approve the claims.
A second.
Motion made by Mr. Brzezinski, seconded by Mr. Fath to approve the claims. Any discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mr. Fath?
Yes.
Mr. Brzezinski?
Yes.
Albert votes yes. Passes 4-0. Next, sewage.
One of our power outages, we had one of the three in the last month. We blew the aeration system apart in the bottom of the digester, so we had to pump it down and repair it. Other than that, I got the #1 RAS meter repaired and the #2 blower mixer repaired. So I don't have wood to knock on, but looks good today.
Yep. Sludge is doing fine.
Well, I haven't been able to, I only got the bag one when I pulled the digester down, and now I'm filling back up.
Okay.
I have to be a little bit above half full of the bag. The pump will pull it below that.
Okay.
But I had a couple of, we kind of had some issues with our sludge. It got thin and then it got thick, and I had 2 bags went out at 14 tons. I was like, what am I doing wrong? It's more gallons than I was putting in. The last bag went out at 16 9, so, and it was less gallons than the 2 before, so it's unpredictable sometimes.
Yep.
I am going to need to order bags this month.
Okay.
That's a biggie.
Okay.
Other than that, that's all I got.
Excellent. South Coast contracts.
I talked to Dave Hollenbeck. I saw this was on the agenda. I talked to Dave Hollenbeck today about it. Dave's the attorney in my office that also represents them. We're going to set up a time to meet with them. There's also an issue out there, and Lori and I have communicated about this, about Frontier Bill that South Coast paid, but is claiming that it was for work on behalf of the town. So we need to meet with them to address that issue and the South Coast contracts. So I've impressed upon Attorney Hollenbeck we would like to set that up within the next week or 2.
Right.
And I have indicated to him that it's the town's position that we don't feel that we're being fairly compensated for the work we're doing under the maintenance agreements. Okay. So he's aware of that.
Okay. So we should know something in hopefully the week. Okay, anything else on sewage? H2O.
A little food for thought on the South Coast contract situation. About 6.5 weeks ago, they wanted the tower drained so that they could have a painting crew change the logos and repaint the tower. So for the 6 weeks, they ran off of our tower level, which gave them about 15 less PSI, but they were able to do it. But Friday I get the call that the tank's been chlorinated and ready to be refilled, and it took me till 2:30 Saturday afternoon to get it full. So I mean, there's been quite a bit involved in this last 6 weeks with this water tower.
When do they let you know that it needed to be refilled?
They let me know Friday that it needed to be refilled. They had chlorinated it Thursday.
Well, they need to use a little bit of common sense, because see, that's what I'm talking about.
I mean, the painters, they were kind of at the mercy of the weather towards the end, and it didn't time out right. And I got it chlorinated. They got it chlorinated. I filled it, and then monitored the chlorine for 2 days, and then I started grabbing samples yesterday. So I had to run a sample to the health department yesterday and today, and assuming both those samples come back good, then we'll put that tower back on service. But I've never seen what our agreement is. I don't know what's involved, but Regina had made a comment a while back that it seems like we're their operator, and I think, you know, if that's what we are, then we should be compensated for that. So.
Anything else? How's the pumps doing it there?
Well, I've got good news, and I'm kind of real hesitant to throw a banner up and say, hey, we're saving a fortune, but
Well, do you have any bad news?
no.
Oh, well then,
No, it looks like in November is when we may have had our rate increase from NIPSCO. I don't know that for exact, but in November we were 3,534, December 42, January 6,400, February 56, and it stayed in the 5,000s till May 34, 33, June 36, 23, then July $2,052. So I went back and looked at the gallons that we pumped for all those months last year, and we're averaging for the year 3.88 million gallons per month, and for last month we pumped 3.77. So I know I'm running quite a bit less amps on the motors when they're running, and I think what that is reflecting in the bill. But I don't want to say, hey, we've saved a fortune, because you look at August of last year, we got a bill for $1,867 and we pumped 4.3 million. So I don't know, but I mean, it appears that it could pay itself off in 12 to 14 months for the cost of the VFDs.
right.
Which I think would be really great if that continues on this trend.
Yeah, 'cause normally you're looking at a 5 to 10 years, pretty good on a payoff.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on water?
No.
Thank you, sir. We have ordinance 2017-10 on water shutoff procedures. Do you want to talk about this real quick before we read it?
Yeah, this is one of the kind of the housekeeping items that Lori and I have been working on. This is not putting in place any new procedures. These are the procedures that have been in place for the town for some time. But from time to time, the clerk's office does get questions from customers on what's required and when they want to see something in writing, spelling out, basically what the town's process is as it relates to the shut-off procedures for water. So Lori and I, as a result of those type of requests, have put this together, and really all it is doing is taking the existing policies and procedures we have in place and putting them in writing. Is that fair?
Okay, we have ordinance 2017-10, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Westville, LaPorte County, Indiana, ratifying and affirming the town's existing policies and procedures for terminating water service to customers for non-payment. Whereas the Town of Westville, LaPorte County, Indiana owns and operates a municipal water system, and whereas Indiana law authorizes the town to terminate water service to customers for non-payment, and whereas the Town Council of the town previously established policies and procedures for terminating water service to customers for non-payment, whereas the Town Council also previously established a $50 charge, a reconnect fee to customers for restoring water service after service has been terminated for non-payment. And whereas the aforementioned policies, procedures, and reconnect fee remain in full force and effect. And whereas recently the town clerk treasurer's office billing clerk has experienced issues with customers attempting to pay their delinquent bill but not the reconnect fee after work orders for shutoffs have been previously submitted by the clerk treasurer's office billing clerk to the town's utility department. Whereas as a result of the foregoing issues, the town council believes that it is best interest of the town and its water customers to adopt this ordinance to ratify and affirm the town's existing policies, procedures, and reconnect fee for terminating water service to customers for non-payment. Now therefore be it ordained by the Town Council of the Town of Westville, LaPorte County, Indiana as follows. Section 1, Incorporation of Recitals. The foregoing recitals are whereas clauses are incorporated by reference into this ordinance as finding of fact. Section 2, Ratification and affirmation of policies and procedures to terminate water service to customers for non-payment. The Town Council hereby ratifies and affirms its existing policies and procedures to terminate water service to customers for non-payment. The Town Council of the Town also hereby ratifies and affirms its existing reconnect fee. The aforementioned existing policies and procedures to terminate water service to customers for non-payment are as follows. The clerk's office shall send out utility bills to customers each month in accordance with the town's billing cycle. The utility bill shall state the date and approximate start time when the water service for customers will be terminated for non-payment by the town's utility department. Once the clerk treasurer's office billing clerk processes all the work orders for termination of service for non-payment, the work orders are submitted to the town's utility department for processing. Customers are permitted to pay their delinquent bill to the town until such time as the work orders for termination of service for non-payment are submitted to the town's utility department for the town clerk's treasurer's office billing clerk. After the work orders for termination of service for non-payment are submitted to the town's utility department by the town clerk treasurer's office, All customers seeking to pay their delinquent bill are also responsible for paying the reconnect fee regardless as to whether the customer's water service has actually been terminated. Section 3, severability. If any portion of this ordinance shall be held to be invalid or unconstitutional by any court of competent jurisdiction, such decision shall not affect any other portion or provision of this ordinance. Section 4, repealer. All ordinances or parts of ordinances inconsistent with this ordinance are hereby repealed to the extent of such inconsistency. It is provided, however, that such repeal shall only be to the extent of such inconsistency, and in all other respects the ordinance or parts of ordinances are hereby ratified, reestablished, and confirmed. Section 5, the effective date. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from after adoption and procedures required by the law. I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2017-10 on the first reading.
Second the motion.
Okay. Motion made by Albert, second by Mr. Fath to approve ordinance 2017-10 on the first reading. Is there any discussion? Mrs. Rudell?
Yes.
Mr. Fath?
Yes.
Mr. Wyszynski?
Yes.
Albert votes yes, passes 4-0. I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules and adopt ordinance 2017-10.
Second the motion.
Motion made by Albert, second by Mr. Fath to suspend the rules and adopt ordinance 2017-10. Is there any discussion? Mrs. Rudell?
Yes.
Mr. Fath?
Yes.
Albert votes yes. Mr. Wyszynski?
Yes.
Passes 4-0. Anything else on water? Streets? Or salt?
Nothing other than the salts arriving tomorrow, 100 ton of our required, and the building's ready for it.
When did we announce that grant? That's this week.
End of this month.
Oh, is that? I was thinking it was the
It's the state money. They have the whole month.
Parks. Police.
I guess I'm up, aren't I?
You're on the air.
Darren and Ian are in Quantico, and they are with a large group of people that are in training for methamphetamines. I don't know what all that entails, but I'm sure that it, from every aspect of meth and what it does, the devastation of it. And I'm really glad. I think it's totally free, isn't it? The feds are doing it for us. I think it's wonderful. There are a couple of things I want to discuss tonight, and one I'm going to be, Ethan, could you send a couple of letters to some people in Water Tower? If we could get this resolved by a letter, I think it would be fine. There's a couple of people that supposedly running businesses out of their home, and I don't think the ordinances allow that.
That's right. There is language in the town zoning ordinance dealing with what's called home occupations. They are allowed in limited circumstances, but they can't generate any new traffic or have employees visiting and things like that. So I think that the first line, as we indicated, is to send out some letters to see if we can address those that way.
Yeah, maybe we can get that resolved. And it may not be that big a deal either, you never know, but the complaints are there. And the other thing I want to talk about is the marshal's contract is going to be up in September. And I would like to not have the contract anymore and just have the marshal be one of our town employees. And I guess I need to make a motion for that to happen. So I think we talked about this at the financial workshop, the budget workshop that we had the other day. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we forego the contract and that the marshal just will be an employee of the town of Westville.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Rudell, second by Mr. Fath to, when the marshal's contract ends in September, to put him in place as a regular employee.
Right, and the financial consultant said that would be, there's not an issue with that. When the contract runs out, he'll just be on the payroll as an employee, town employee.
Okay. Is there any discussion or questions? Mrs. Rudell?
Yes.
Mr. Fath?
Yes.
Mr. Wyszynski?
Yes.
I abstain from voting due to possible conflict.
Okay.
Passes 3-1.
3-0.
3-0.
I think an abstention counts as a no.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't.
It's a non-vote.
I wish we could terminate your contract. Sorry about that, the levity. Okay, anything else on police?
No, that's it.
Okay, thanks, Regina.
Mhm.
Finance.
All right. I'll read aloud resolution number 2017-6, transfer of funds. Be it resolved by the Westville Town Council that the following funds be transferred. Transfer $3,320 from appropriation number 10-100-2371 hydrant rental general fund to appropriation number 10-100-2313 other fees and services general fund. Transfer $1,500 from appropriation number 10-100-2399 unsafe buildings general fund to appropriation number 10-100-2390 fire department continued contract general fund. Transfer $3,500 from appropriation number 10-100-2399 unsafe buildings general fund to appropriation number 10-100-2311 legal services general fund. Transfer $1,000 from appropriation number 10-100-2290 miscellaneous supplies general fund to appropriation number 10-100-2393 promo of town business general fund. Transfer $20,000 from appropriation number 10-1200-134 health insurance general fund to appropriation number 10-1200-361 repair and maintenance general fund for police. Transfer $5,000 from appropriation number 10-1200-134 health insurance general fund police to appropriation number 10-1200-221 fuel general fund police. Transfer $2,000 from appropriation number 10-1200-134 health insurance general fund police to appropriation 10-1200-440 new equipment general fund police. Make a motion we pass resolution number 2017-6, transfer of funds.
I'll second the motion. Motion made by Mr. Fast, seconded by Albert to adopt resolution 2017-6. Is there any discussion? Or would like that reread?
You did an excellent job.
You see if you're paying attention. Very good job. Mrs. Riddell.
Yes.
Mr. Fath.
Yes.
Albert votes yes. Mr. Pachinski.
Yes.
Passes 4-0. Anything else under finance? Miscellaneous.
Mike, I do have one thing I'd like to bring to the council's attention this evening under miscellaneous.
Sure.
This is something that I've been dealing with for some time here. As I'm sure you're all aware, Paul's Auto Yard has taken over ownership of the junkyard again. I think at one point it was sold to somebody else who was operating it, and then Paul stepped in and took over operations again. As part of that, Paul's is attempting to obtain new licenses from the state of Indiana to operate both as an automobile salvage recycler, in my mind a junkyard, and a new and used automobile dealer. And they've submitted zoning affidavits to the town that they are requesting that the town sign. They need those zoning affidavits signed so that they can get their licensing from the state of Indiana. And why this has taken so much time to kind of work through here is that property is actually comprised of 6 separate parcels. The largest of which are like almost 13 acres, and then there's one that's about 4.5. And the property is comprised of parcels that are zoned both heavy industrial and light industrial. In reviewing the files that I had for this, it looks like in about 2005, Paul's Auto Yard did obtain a use variance from the Westville Board of Zoning Appeals to expand its existing junkyard onto the parcel that Paul's Auto Yard had acquired that was approximately 9.457 acres. And it appears that there may have been some litigation with the town at around that time, and that the granting of that use variance resolved that litigation. What's caused some issue here is that in looking back at the BZA files from 2005 or so, it's not entirely clear as to which parcel that use variance was granted to. So that's taken some time to allow for me to be able to work through this. The town zoning ordinance clearly, in light industrial and heavy industrial, allows the sale of automobiles. That's something that's permitted. But what's not permitted is the use of the junkyard in those zoning districts. So Why I wanted to bring this to your attention was so you guys were aware of this. This has been pending out there for several months at this point, and I'm getting communications from Paul's Auto Yards attorney asking what the town's position is on this. If the town council is so comfortable, I don't have any problem with executing these zoning affidavits specifically for that 9.457 acre parcel, because they've got their use variance, they're okay to go on that. But I want to make it exceedingly clear that that's the only thing that we're granting those affidavits for, and the remainder of the property that's out there has to comply with the town's zoning ordinance. So I wanted to bring that to you this evening to notify you of that, and if the council would be so inclined, if you could go ahead and pass a motion authorizing, we'll have Charlie Wright sign the zoning affidavits on behalf of the town. I know that, like I said, this has been something that's been out there for a while. It's taken a while to dig into here. I've communicated back and forth with Paul's Auto Yard, asked for some proof from them as to what that 9.57 acre parcel is. They've provided that to me. I just want to make it abundantly clear that this permission is only being granted on that portion of the property over there.
Are we gonna be able to assure that it stays on that 9 point?
That's what we're going to stress to them in sending these zoning affidavits, that they understand that this, you're only being granted approval from the town for these parcels. And then to the extent that you are operating outside of that, you're gonna have to come back through the BZA process to get use variances or whatever additional approvals you need.
When they switched hands, did that matter as far as this?
It did not matter. Variances, unless you put a limitation on them that says that they're only specific to a certain person, or there's some triggering event that causes them to terminate, they run with the land. So there were some written commitments that were put on the use variance, but nothing like that that says if Paul's Auto Yard ceases operating there for any period of time, that the use variances terminate and they have to come back. That would have been, in hindsight being 2020, that would have been a great thing to have there.
Is there any discussion as far as the junkyard that they could possibly find a new entrance like UPS on that side of Highway 2 instead of coming down Monon and through the town off of 2? And have, the reason I say this is because several times they have come out, they swing out into the town garage property, which we repair, and they have a post that they seem to knock over all the time. And it would just be so much easier if they had an entrance right off the 2 on their side and eliminate Monon Street and down Belgrade.
And I don't think there's anything wrong in trying to communicate with them about that. I know you and I have had conversations about that through the years, Jim. Is there any, I guess let me ask you this, is there anything about their operation that would make that more difficult? Or, I mean, I don't know, like the crusher there, is that set up such that it's easier to just have those trucks come out? Do we know that?
I don't know. I mean, they load them with a crane, so
Okay. I will make the request in communicating
that
with
would be
them.
really appreciative of it, I'm sure.
It's 2 poles in like 4 months.
Yeah.
Is there anything on,
Have we made them pay for that? I mean,
They paid the covers, aren't those ones with the covers on them?
They got the, yeah, we got the covers on them now, so
Thought we got.
Darren went down there and he said they would pay for them, but it would just be easier. I mean, UPS has got their back run off there, and I know they've got openings down there on that Highway 2 by that, they got a gate down there.
there's a couple of spots where there's culverts.
Yeah, could it be easier for them to just go that way instead of,
I'll make a note of that.
You just need approval to convey what,
To have Charlie Ray, I'll convey those concerns, and to have Charlie Ray execute the zoning affidavits on behalf of the town. So he is the building commissioner, the zoning officer at this point.
do you need a motion on that, or?
Yes, if I could, please.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
second?
Motion made by Albert, seconded by Mr. Bashinsky to have Charlie Ray send in the affidavit pertaining to the zoning of that property. Any discussion? Mrs. Riddell?
Yes.
Mr. Pfaff?
Yes.
Mr. Bashinsky?
Yes.
Robert votes yes, passes 4-0. Any other miscellaneous citizens' comments? Anything else? Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead. You're on.
Okay. Hi y'all, I'm Mike from Johnny Bubbles. And I've been calling for a while now because I'm having a problem at my Tiny Bubbles business here in Westville. And the business is failing. And one of the main reasons is because the water bill is so high. And I never really, we've owned it for almost a decade now. And I never looked closely at this until this lady in my office started looking closely at it. And she goes, do you know that you're giving 20% plus every year of your total revenue to the water? And I said, no. And she goes, well, let's take a look at the other cities that we operate in. And so we did, and here's just some numbers. But in Westville, I'm paying 2.5 cents per gallon. In Hebron, that's my next highest, and they're about half of y'all at 0.13. And then it just keeps dropping. LaPorte, 0.09, and then down to Chesterton at 0.05. So a half a penny a gallon at my best spot to 2.5 pennies a gallon at my worst spot. And so I've been calling to kind of say, like, is there anything, does anybody have any ideas? Like, can you do something to help me with this water bill before I throw in the towel? And throwing in the towel, I'm feeling real bad about that too, because I'm going to auction it off, but I'm just passing the buck on to somebody else, you know. And the buck got passed to me when I bought it from Superwash Corporation. They got 500 of these, you know, and I wasn't sharp enough to catch it. You know, it just doesn't seem right.
Well, the only situation is if we've got users that use a lot more water than you do.
Uh-huh.
So if we would fix your rate, we got to fix everybody's rate.
I validate that.
And if not, if we give every, say, a business every break, it's going to be picked up by the homeowners. And
Oh, okay.
you know, I mean, we just, you know, we don't have a money tree. I mean, I understand and respect what you're saying, but
I wanted to ask some of these questions without taking the whole council and all the citizens' time, but I really wasn't able to get through to anyone and was just told to come here. So I guess my first question is, why the bill so high? I mean,
why? Well,
yeah,
we got
2.5 pennies a gallon.
Okay, you see a brand new wastewater plant down here?
No.
Oh, there's a brand new wastewater plant, 7 million, give or take. Got a brand, or I don't say brand new, you got a new water plant here behind McDonald's, the water tower and everything.
Okay.
Although we did probably, let me think here, probably 2006, we dropped our water rates 21%. Because we had such, yeah, believe it or not, we dropped our water rates because we went from having 300 and some customers up to having 600 and some. We had more customers and we were able to drop the rate. Hopefully there's a large consumer that is possibly looking at hooking into our sewer system. If they do that, we drop the rates.
Okay.
So I mean, without sounding like Bill Clinton saying, I feel your pain, I understand what you're saying, and there's not a lot we can do. We've got to have a wastewater plant up to code or standards, and we got to have water. I mean, your water is probably that you're buying is probably better quality than what Hebron's might be. Not knocking their water; it's not going to kill you. But I mean, we pre-treat our water here. We have a filtration plant, so.
Okay. I didn't really know. I just wanted to see if y'all had any ideas before I either ground it. I'm thinking about a tear down, getting a bid from this construction company to just tear it down and sell the property for whatever I can get, or this auction service, which I do feel bad about. But the only thing I can think of why maybe I might get an exemption where other businesses might not, we're no touch. I mean, this water, you know, I have settling basins at our place, all right? We aren't discharging any BOD, CBOD, TSS, anything that you're dealing with at this water treatment plant, I'm not touching it. I'm giving you pretty clean water that's been through a triple basin before it goes down my drain. So it's really, I got one skin in the game here to go, guys, would you really like to keep a car wash in your town by chance? You know, I mean, there's not another one.
Family Express. There's a car wash, Family Express.
Oh, yeah, they have single bay, sure. I was just thinking like a self-serve, you know, where somebody can
right.
spray. I mean, I know half the people in the town that are spraying their farm tractors and trailers out there, cause I'm cleaning it up.
Right.
You know, we shoveling that garbage up, but it's really not a big deal to me. I'm not too passionately pushing this, cause I'm a little exhausted with it, but it's, you know, if you're the town council, if you wanna save this business before she gone, you know, if you wanna consider an exemption, cause I'm discharging clean water, you know, or if you got any ideas, you know, I'm all
Well,
ears.
have you thought of raising your rates?
You know, it's such a struggling business in this town already, you
It
know.
would take an investment, reinvestment in new
Yeah.
equipment, which would be another $150,000 to $200,000
Yeah.
for new equipment to be able to justify a rate increase. Otherwise, people are just gonna come through the same antiquated, automatic, and then we want them to pay, you know, 1.5 times the amount of money to get back out of it.
And just so you guys, I'm the town attorney, so you understand what you're requesting here. I mean, it's not as simple as the council here just saying, okay, we acknowledge your problem, we'll just give you a rate reduction. The town has a rate ordinance, which establishes all of its rates. He has one for water and one for sewer. In order to be able to adopt that ordinance, the town has to contract with a financial consultant who comes in and looks at the revenue that the town generates, looks at its liabilities, and that's basically the basis upon which we use to determine our rates. In order, prior to adopting those rate ordinances, the town has to, like I said, go through the process with that financial consultant, publish legal notice, convene a public hearing, and then at that point, it could possibly consider, you know, amending its rates. The problem with that is, I mean, on the town side, if we were to look to do anything along those lines with you, I mean, first off, we'd have to engage that financial consultant, which would be at a cost to the town. And we would have to try and differentiate why your business is different from, like Mike said, a number of other ones here. Because in amending those rates, I mean, those rates have to be defensible legally. So we would have to have that basis in the record for the town to be able to consider that. And I'm just explaining that to you so you understand this isn't like something that the town council could just snap its fingers, even if it wanted to. This is not something that they could just simply address this evening and give you a rate reduction. It's a process that would, at a minimum, would take many, many months to work through.
Yeah, well, you know, we voted for, you know, like I said, a decade now, and I've been trying to call and talk to somebody, so, I mean,
We're advised to come here.
you want, until I sell it or tear it down, you want to start the process. I mean, we can do some analysis to build a case that this water is different. You know, we only have one small commode. This is not like we're discharging septage like a community, you know, this is, I'd be willing to take out the commode. I mean, this is clean water. You spray a trailer out. I mean, do y'all use my car wash? Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's pretty cut and dry. You spray the rinse and you spray the stuff off the outside of the car. We use a minuscule amount of these biodegradable detergents that are, you know, this is not impact water. This is about equivalent to stormwater. Stormwater runoff. I'm very close to that. Stormwater. Okay, so yeah, what's the next step then? If I wanted to say, you know what, I paid 200 grand for this thing, I really don't want to sell it for only 100 grand just because I got this water thing. What's my next step to run this campaign to get the...
Your next step is right here, discussing this with the town council, and it's up to the town council
Tell you
whether
the
it wants
truth.
to entertain the idea of perhaps revisiting its
My
rates.
opinion is if we would do that, there aren't gonna be enough trees in town to hang us from. Because you get a rate reduction, all these people here want a rate reduction.
Well, can I
Yes,
ask,
ma'am.
is there someone from the water company that may be able to come and visit our site to see, maybe they see something that we're not, that maybe this is just flowing through, like maybe our usage, and determine if there's any other issues here rather than just our cost basis that's causing a problem at this location?
How many cars are you washing?
Well, here's by revenue is what our examples are.
I mean, like
Cost per,
I don't really
500, you know, I mean,
yeah, I
I
don't
mean, because
really
if your
know.
rate, if your consumption goes up, obviously you're washing more cars.
Yeah, I didn't really understand it. I mean, here's an example. I used 47,000 gallons in the last billing cycle, you know, on the last billing cycle. You know, I'm just gonna hand these out. I took time to make them, so I didn't make it. I didn't know how many to make, but you guys, we just want to see what I'm looking at here. This is.
You need one of these, or?
No, I don't. I can just explain it real quickly. But on the These are my sales at Westville, the 45,000, and you can see that to the far right column is it shows a percentage of micro sales that are actually going to the water department. As a matter of fact, it dawned on me the water department might be the only one making money off my car wash, so maybe y'all might want to buy it. I mean, just throwing that out there. But then the next thing is on the bottom right, you can see the towns that I operate in. These 4 towns, and this is the price per gallon that you're paying in and out in each one of these towns. So, you know, I don't know, you mentioned about building this new plant. I don't know, you know, I mean, did you build too small of a plant that can't operate efficiently? Just an honest question, is it?
We got a 3 million, how many million a day? Not maximum, but.
No, it's a 600,000 gallon per day plant, and we're running about 175, well, it was 177 last month. But I did meet with you about a year and a half ago, and I think right around the time we put a new meter in there, and I think at that time you had a solenoid valve that was sticking open, was the cause for your bill then. But he was talking about stormwater. I went to a class 2 weeks ago, and I don't know if I'd want to be categorized as stormwater, because that's the next step the state's going to be looking at, is people building plants to treat stormwater because the oils and greases. So I don't know. I'll be more than happy to come through and
Was the
do
solenoid
a
up there?
walkthrough with you.
That was an isolated incident. That's where we would call and go, wait a minute, we got a big bill. Come down, let's take a look. And that's when we replaced it. The red flag went up when we seen that bill. But this is an ongoing 20%.
Can the city afford to lose that?
That much
Water.
revenue? I mean, are you gonna have to raise everybody else's
Well,
rates?
yeah,
We use $47,000 a month in revenue.
You,
No, it's
Oh,
not
water.
47,000
Gallons.
gallons.
Right.
yeah, but
Yeah.
if you're,
$1,300. I thought you said $47,000.
you,
No.
ultimately you're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, if you were like with the water plant, you have so much, we have a bond cost on the loan we're paying off, you have your operating costs, you know, and it's not like there's a bunch of money that's being,
No, we just,
it's running tight.
And
So we break it up evenly, everyone pays the same amongst all our users.
yeah, there's no difference in price per gallon from a person using 5,000 gallons a month as a person that's using 50,000 gallons a month.
but it's like what we just did. Our utility bills doubled. We spent $27,000 or $29,000 to change some pumping equipment to try and get us back in the range that our bills were, so that we didn't have to look at rate increases.
Yeah, I can't see it flying.
You know, what really happened here is this is the next one that's due for investment. And like my wife said, it's going to cost a couple $100,000 to bring it up to speed. We did Hebron, we did Chesterton, and LaPorte's different, what we have in LaPorte. But anyway, we just can't pull the trigger on reinvesting in this, looking down the barrel of, you know, so.
What did your improvement at Hebron entail?
Well, we put in a new automatic, a touch-free automatic that measures cars. There's no treadle plate. We raised the roof, extend the building a little bit.
Is it more energy efficient?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I don't, you know, honestly, it's about the same. I mean, are you referring to the...
Either water or electric or...
No, you just got to use water to wash a car. You know, you do.
Right.
They run the same pumps, as a matter of fact. Cat 35. You know, so... It was just a shot before we did this liquidation. I mean, it's a small town. I like it here. I like the little business. When we first bought it, you know, all we did is paint it up and try to give a little embrace to it. And then we just tried little things, you know. We put in the swipe where you can pay with your credit card. But it really is going to take, to make the business pop, it's going to take that investment from us. But looking down the barrel of this percentage of the revenue that's going to go to the utilities, I don't think we can do it. That's why we're considering the bailout. You know,
I'm looking here. Your gallons used at Westville are 47.9, and your Hebron is 147,000. So I mean,
sales.
the this is your smallest market.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Well, people just don't like our wash. It's never been renovated, in all honesty. I mean, it would be a nice little thing. So it could be something nice. It doesn't have to go away. You know, we're just at this fork in the road where I thought, let's go down and talk to everybody, see if we can come up with an idea to save this thing. And I really do feel bad about that auction service. I mean, because it's passing the buck. I mean, whoever buys it, if you give it to them for free, I don't have a mortgage on the place. We're talking about operating costs, you know, like, so that's when something is fundamentally broken, and I thought, okay, it's worth a stop down here, you know. The only case I could build is kind of like your attorney mentioned. I mean, we could run some analysis and you know, I don't know if anybody knows a shortcut to go through this, but our water is you know, it's a light touch in and out. It's not much different than somebody running their, any water you use, running your hose in your driveway, you know. I mean, but ours does go down the sewer. We don't let it run off into the neighbor's property. And,
when I run my hose, I'm paying that 3 cents a gallon too.
oh yeah, I mean, no doubt. I'm just unique with this touch-free wash. It's okay. Guys, it's okay.
I mean,
you know, if we can't do
I don't know,
anything, we can't do
I
anything.
can't see us, I can't speak for the other three people here, but
Now, how we can.
When
We'll have everybody in town.
Humboldt studies are quite expensive too. How much is it? I mean, we just did one. It's
Was it 12,000 for water, or was that?
who's our
That might have been for
largest,
both. I think
who's
there's
our
like
largest
6
consumer?
for
Sewage.
Correctional center,
No,
No, not yet.
not on
UPS,
The school, I was gonna say
School,
UPS, the school,
probably.
New Durham.
Wasn't South
Oh.
Coast?
I mean, you know,
There's
but the
like
difference,
top five of
is, if you're here and you've paid your $5, are you gonna do what we all do, and you're gonna turn the water off while you suds everything up, and then you're only gonna use the water that you need? That's what they do at UPS, right? I mean, they're gonna minimize their water bill in every way they can. This is a consumer coming through where they really don't care. They're gonna use as much water as they can to get out of their $5.
Yeah,
That's the
because timer
difference.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, so, that's a challenge. Challenge.
I probably wasn't the answer you wanted to hear, but I do appreciate you coming in
That's
and
all right.
asking
Yeah, I
questions.
just thought I'd see if anybody had an idea of how to skin a cat where I could just get to normal, you know? I mean, a normal water bill is really the goal in any situation. I haven't encountered this, by the way. We've been in this business in these other towns since 2005.
Where's your, I don't want to say store, where's your wash and report on Pine Lake?
It's the old McLean's wash on J Street, Lincoln Way. That's a unique wash. It's not, you know, that's a tunnel, so it's friction. But like, you know, in these other towns, I've never seen them have a water bill like this, you know.
I was just trying to place where your store was, or your.
Okay, well, I don't want to take up any more of everybody's time.
Well, thank you for coming. Anything else?
I have a question.
Yes.
Alright, so we voted earlier to change the police to be part of the Westville town, right? And it sounds like we kind of moved some funds over so we can insure them or put them.
Oh, that.
Okay, so what's the difference, I guess,
The
in the town?
the money was taken out of insurance because that's where the big amount was, but they didn't use as much insurance.
Okay,
When we do the budget every year, we have to figure out, look in the crystal ball and determine
yeah,
what
I get that,
money
how you
is.
need to move it.
So
So we're
it's-
not paying insurance that we weren't paying before when they were a contract?
No, it's, the only person that's
No.
under contract is the marshal.
Oh, okay,
And his insurances will be the same anyway.
okay.
Yeah.
It was just a question, I just
There'll
wanted to
be-
change
Yeah,
it.
Instead of a
the only difference in Darren was he is no longer on contract. He had the same benefits and everything as any other employer, or employee.
Just like.
I think all of our health insurance
I mean,
is
everybody's
the
got, they
same.
just had a
Everything's the
contract.
same.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's it.
Anything else? I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second. I was hoping you'd say that.
I didn't print
Motion
these
made by
off.
Albert, seconded by Mr. Brzezinski to adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, there being none, the meeting adjourns at 7:40.